Good morning. It's good to be with you this morning, albeit virtually on Zoom again. I remember last year the same situation and really hoping that this year we would be back together in one space. But sadly, we're not quite there yet. And I have been thinking about you over the last year and wondering how you're all doing. So it's great to be able to share with you some news from Kimbilio, the news of how things have gone over this last year. And many of you will have heard the really sad news that we lost John Bosco a few weeks ago to COVID. And John Bosco was the director of Kimbilio who took over after I moved back to the UK. Really respected man and a huge loss for us as a community and for the Anglican Church, where he was really well respected, and for, of course, all the children that he supported through Kimbilio and his family who miss him so much. Uh, I had a meeting with him on the Wednesday. He didn't mention he was unwell, although apparently he already wasn't feeling great. He went into hospital on the Saturday and tragically died the by the following Friday. So a really big tragedy for us and such a shock. And I really chose the passage that we read earlier on about Jesus washing the disciples' feet because John Bosco really summed up somebody to me who took that passage really seriously. He was somebody that metaphorically washed other people's feet. Even though he was the director of Kimbilio, he was often out on the streets with the rest of the team and caring for those who were really vulnerable, those who are really on the margins of society, the street children who are looked down on by many people and seen as the problem for all of the crime in the city. And yet, John Bosco really went out there and served them. And he was a man that didn't seek attention, and he was a very humble man and somebody that who will be a very, very hard act to follow at Kimbilio. And we'd really appreciate your prayers at this time of transition. At the moment, two other staff members have stood up to the position of acting director, and they're doing it together as a team. That's Karine, who is the manager of the Women's Project, and Clement, who is the Dean of the Cathedral and has really done a lot of work with the outreach centre there, with the day centre to street children, and has been with us since the start. And they're doing a great job. We're in regular contact, but please pray for them as we all adjust as a team to the loss of John Bosco. Some really positive news as well to share is that the primary school, which I know you've all been following the building of it since we had the container outside All Hallows just before lockdown about a year and a half ago. That school building is almost finished, and we're delighted to say it will be opening on October the 4th. It's all systems go at the minute to finish off the last minute painting and decorating, and the recruitment of teachers has taken place. They've appointed a wonderful head teacher called Didier Elunga, who is going to be leading that primary school. And we are so thrilled that it is actually happening. We remember laying the foundation stone at the 10th anniversary of Kimbilio in 2019, and it's great that the funds have been raised over that time, and we're so thankful to those of you at All Hallows who have really supported that project. And we look forward to bringing you photos and images of when the children actually start school and that building is actually in use. And they're actually offering education to children who otherwise would not be able to afford it or attend school. So thank you so much to those of you who've been involved in making that happen. Just got a couple more photos here. You can see the head teacher's office here now, up and running. And on the other side, on the left-hand side, you can see the aerial shot on Google Maps of the school. It's a round shape. It looks like a bit like a big donut from the air. And you can see the chapel at Kimbilio here, and the girls' house at the back here, our basketball court here, and football pitch, which is well trodden, and the boys' house here. This gives you an idea of the whole space of the land at Kimbilio, and all of the buildings that have built up around it over the years. The first time I visited this area on the outskirts of the city, it was all just grass and fields. And over that time, it has all been started to be built up. And they're talking about bringing electricity to the area very soon, which is a huge change from the bush land that I saw when I first visited it about 13 or 14 years ago. Another exciting thing that's happened this year is that we've opened a small outreach centre in Kolwezi. Kolwezi is a large mining city, about 300 miles from Lubumbashi. You can see on the map Lubumbashi, where we're based already, and Kolwezi, which is further up, a bit further north and west of Lubumbashi. There's a huge amount of mining industry going on there at the moment, and as a result, many people have moved there to find work, and many children work in the mines there. You can see a child here looking for stones and minerals amongst the rocks that other people have mined from in the ground. Sometimes children are working for up to 12 hours a day for very little profit, and working in really difficult circumstances and situations. And we're really hoping that the outreach that we started there will gradually grow and be able to reach out to many of these children that are working in the mines. Please pray, remember in your prayers Leah, who is the person who is leading that project along with his wife and one of the ladies from their church. And they've opening 2 mornings a week and going into the local marketplaces with hot drinks and food, and making contact with children who are sleeping underneath the market stalls. So really pray that that project will grow and expand from the small sort of foundation that we've got going now. And those of you who've been following Kimbilio from the beginning, that was exactly how we started in Lubumbashi 12 years ago, almost 12 years ago, just with a very small outreach project to local children in the market. And those of you, again, who have followed will have seen us grow to the point where we now have 4 homes, an outreach centre, and now, of course, a primary school, alongside a hairdressing training salon and 2 sewing workshops. So it's wonderful to see the work flourishing and growing, and we're praying that the same thing will happen in Kolwezi. Reintegration work continues, which of course is our bread and butter work. That's what we're all about. We want children to be able to return home to their families if that's possible. These 2 children, aged 13 and 8, were returned from Lubumbashi on the bus to Kolwezi. 300 miles these children had traveled to end up in Lubumbashi, and we were able to bring them back to their families. Rodrigue, who you can see in the green and grey stripy top, is one of our carers at Lubumbashi and has recently taken on more of an administrative role to support the 2 new directors. The guy on the right is Leia, who I've just mentioned, who's heading up the project in Kolwezi. Being based in Kolwezi means he can follow up on these children as they're placed back with their families and see how they're getting on and provide any support that they might need to make sure that that family stays together. Fun, that's definitely something which we hope the children are able to have at Kimbilio after having such difficult lives, trying to survive without family support on the streets. And Joelle, our artist, continues to visit regularly, as do other people who come in and do creative activities with the children. You can see the girls have made necklaces and earrings in one of their sessions, and the boys have done a mural about hopes and aspirations that they have for the future, which involves having a home, a family, a car, and that's really lovely to see them enjoying doing those activities, things that would have just not been at all possible or even imaginable when they were living and fending for themselves in the city streets and marketplaces. And we have had a guy visiting us, a dancer, a local dancer, who has really enjoyed spending time with the children, teaching them dance, enjoying having fun. And I just felt it would be nice for you just to watch and listen to some of the music and the dance that he's doing with the children. And as we're watching and listening, maybe just to think about this special verse that we can see on our screens from Jeremiah. For I know the plans that I have for you, declares the Lord, plans to prosper you and not to harm you, plans to give you hope and a future. And sometimes this year it would be possible to imagine that actually there were no plans to give us hope, because there's been times when I'm sure lots of people have been feeling very despondent and low about what's been going on in the world with COVID and climate change and all sorts of other concerns that we have going on in our lives. But actually, God has got a plan for us. And again, at Kimbilio, we've suffered this huge loss and tragedy of John Bosco, which really has shaken us up. And we have to really trust in what the Lord is saying, and has shown us over the years that he has got plans for Kimbilio, and he has prospered us, and he's used people like John Bosco, and those who of us are left, we carry on when we continue that vision that John Bosco really embodied. And we trust that in the Lord's promise that he does have plans for us to give us a hope and a future. And that's what we're hoping and wanting to give to the children that we're serving. And maybe as we just listen to this music and watch the children dance, let's just have a bit of time to reflect personally about those plans and hopes that the Lord has for us in our lives. And remember Kimbilio as well. Wonderful to see the smiles on the children's faces and to see them enjoying life. And we pray that we will be able to do that too, as we look forward with hope. So what are our hopes? Well, we've recently gone through a strategic planning process at Kimbilio for the next 5 years, and we have lots of plans. The cathedral that we used for many years as our outreach centre has been refurbished. And in that process, we are unable to continue using it. We have been able to build a small outreach centre behind the cathedral, and you can see the pictures of the opening of that event. It has a dining room and a small activities room and a kitchen attached to it. And the children are still coming there, as you can see, a number of children there. We have up to 60 children per session still coming to those outreach centres. So the need is still there. And that's just one small area of Lubumbashi. And we're conscious that there are many, many more children on the streets, up to potentially 5,000 children on the streets of the city. And we have a hope and a vision to build a purpose-built centre for street children, where the children can come 24/7 and receive support. And we have a vision that that centre will also be used to support children and families who are on the edge, who are vulnerable. And we can provide them with preventative support to prevent them from those families from actually breaking down and ending up on the streets. And we have a real vision that we'll be able to buy a plot of land. It might have an existing building on that we can adapt, or we might need to build a building from scratch. But this is our project for 2022, and we are hoping to launch that just before Christmas. So please pray for us as we try to raise the funds to make that happen. And those of you who have followed us for so long have seen we've built buildings, we've built homes, and we've now built a school. And we really hope and pray that this vision as well will be realized. And we thank you so much for all the support you continue to give to us. And these, we thank you for the support. Those of you who have bought things from our shop, those of you who are in church this morning will be able to buy cards and bags. Those of you who are on Zoom, please log on to our Etsy site. If you would like to buy some of our lovely bags, you can see one of our trustees modeling in this picture above. That's Ruth, who runs the Etsy shop, and she can post items out to you if you order them online. But just really to leave you with a huge thank you for all that you do for us, and for keeping us in your thoughts and prayers, for the financial support that you send. We are so thankful, and it keeps us going, and it keeps us hopeful, and it keeps these children that you can see in these pictures with smiles on their faces, and activities, fun activities to do, and it keeps them from the streets. And in the future, we really hope it will help them to move into a more hope-filled future with lots of opportunities, particularly these children who are attending the school, and other children that we've supported in the past. Some of them who are going on to university this year through the support that Kimbilio is able to help. So please do keep us in your thoughts and prayers, keep supporting us, and tell others who you think may be interested to know more, and spread the word. Thank you so much.